I broke into comic books collecting when I was about 16, and then I professionally when I was about 23, and then I got to do Hulk, Bruce Banner, and I got to do a little bit of Batman, Bruce Wayne, and I got to do Spider-Man. It sort of made my career. Peter Parker, and it struck me after a while that everybody was just sort of that good-looking white guy that you see in all the jeans models. It's the white guy. There was a stereotype to it, and I always wanted to do this scene. It struck me as odd, and I always wanted to do this scene with Spider-Man. I never got to because I ended up moving on to our own company, where you have the stereotype. You've got the Wall Street guy. Of course, he's white, in a nice sort of Armani suit, and then he gets mugged by the black guy from the Bronx. Of course, we'll play all the stereotypes. And then he screams, and boom, boom, here comes the hero Spider-Man. He comes down there and he webs up the mugger. And just as the Wall Street guy's walking away, he says, "Oh, thanks, Spidey, and I'm glad you got that." And he says his epitaph about the black man. And I wanted Spider-Man to go poof and take that Wall Street guy against the wall, because he's covered from head to toe. Unlike Batman, he's covered from head to toe, and go poof. What color do you think I am underneath this mask? And just for a moment go, why has nobody ever asked the question? I mean, the stories were always not Peter Parker, but Spider-Man, the villain, J. Jonah Jameson made him the bad guy in the news, but nobody asked, what's his nationality, right? Is he a terrorist? Is he a Muslim? Nobody asked about anything. We just assumed he was just that traditional, standard, white, good-looking dude that was there. So at that point, I had the idea, I go, could I actually create a character that is a minority? But the first thing I do, essentially, in issue 1, which I do, is I rip off the skin. I get rid of the thing that basically makes them different, which is the pigmentation on the skin. We'll rip it across, and could I, over time, make people forget about the skin color? And to some degree, it worked, because years later, I'd be in Texas or Alabama or something doing a signing, and people go, guys that we would call rednecks would come up and go, "Oh, I love Spawn, he's my favorite hero." And I go, you remember he's a black guy, right? And they go, and they look at their buddy going, "Oh, we did forget about that," right? I mean, because I never wanted the minority superheroes were like Black Panther and Luke Cage, and then there were some others from some smaller companies, and they made the color of their skin a point. I didn't want it to be a point. I wanted it to be a non-issue. Why couldn't a guy who had a different pigmentation do the same heroic deeds, have the same wants and needs as us privileged white people? And the answer is, they do and they can. We just forget about it sometimes. And so that was sort of the impetus of all of it.